All right, welcome back. Let's consider the general properties of metals. Some of the general properties of metal. The first one that I have here is ductility and malleability. Generally, most metals are ductile and malleable. What is the meaning of ductility and malleability? Now, ductility is the property of metal associated with the ability to be stretched into wire without breaking. So this is one of the common property of all metal because metals can be drawn into wire without breaking, and that is why most of our electrical wire, electrical conductor are made up of metals. So we have copper wires, we have silver wire. So consider this. This is a copper, so it can be drawn into wire to form something like this. So you can see after insulating it with a plastic insulator, or it is a rubber insulator. So this is what we mean by ductility. It can be stretched and drawn into wire. So that's one of the properties of metals, ductility. Then malleability. So now malleability is the property of metal associated with the ability to be hammered into a thin sheet without breaking. So now consider this process of hammering a metal. This is the original metal, and after being hammered, it turns into a thin sheet. And this is the process involved when they are making metallic plates and so on. So because most metals can be hammered into a thin sheet without breaking, which non-metals cannot be done this way. So now let's go to the second property of non-metals. Metals are good conductors of heat and electricity. Of course, that is why metals are used in our electrical appliances as conductors, because they are good conductors of electricity. Similarly, our pots, home appliances for cooking utensils are always made up of metals like iron or steel. So consider this cooking utensil. They are all good conductors of heat because they are made up of metals. So this is our pot. This is another pot. Look at this frying pan, everything. They are there. Spoon. They are conductors of heat because we need something that can conduct heat from the fire source, from the heat source to the content or the food that we are cooking so that it can ensure proper cooking. Let's consider the third general properties of metal. Metals are usually hard solid with high melting point. So most metals like iron and aluminium, they always have high melting point. So although there are some exceptions to the rule, for example, sodium is a soft solid. And also we have mercury, which is not even a solid, but it is a liquid, and that is the only liquid metal. So this is a mercury. You can see how it is flowing like a liquid, and it's even a liquid, and that is the only liquid metal that we have in this world. Yes, another property of metals is that they are lustrous. That is, they have lusters. They can shine like silver. They can shine like gold. And that is why they are used in jewelry and in metallic paints. So that's because of their reflectivity. So consider each of these metals that we have here. So they have shining properties. They have lustrous property. So that's why we said metals are lustrous. Let's consider another property of metal. So another one is that some metals make sonorous sound. When they are hammered, they make sound. For example, iron, when it is hammered, it makes sound. So you can also demonstrate that by ringing the bell, you will hear some sonorous sound. That's because the bell itself is made up of metallic substance. And then by hitting metal on pestle, right, that is metallic mortar and pestle, when you hit them, you will hear some sonorous sound. This demonstrates that metals make sonorous sound. Another property of metal is that they are moderately dense. That is, their density is always moderate. The density of most metal is always around 7 grams per centimeter cube. Although some of them are very dense, like above 14 grams per centimeter cube. A good example of that is iron and lead. Now, another property is that none of the metals is soluble in any ordinary solvent without chemical change. Of course, all those metals, especially when they dissolve in water. Let's take, for instance, sodium, which belongs to group 1. And group 1 elements are called alkali metal because they form alkalis in water, and that's a chemical change. So when sodium is mixed with water, when sodium is dissolved inside water, it dissolves to form sodium hydroxide. So now, here is the reaction of sodium in water. This is sodium poured inside water to produce sodium hydroxide, and hydrogen gas will be given off. This shows that this is an exothermic process because we are going to lose some gases in form of hydrogen gas into the surroundings. So you can see the equation of the reaction above. So this shows that when metals dissolve in ordinary solvent like water, there will be a chemical change involved. Thank you.